Heyo everybody, Haku here with my review for Tawado Kagaku no Accelerator, or a Certain Scientific Accelerator, Episode 7. So I absolutely love this one, like I've been loving it every single week. I think something particularly good here is again something that I've been praising every week, and that's just how good Esther and Tuoto or Hasami are. Um, like for me, I had been praising sort of the show developing characters other than Accelerator and other than the characters we already know from the main series or from Railgun, and making it feel like Accelerator has its own cast going on or its own stories going on that are separate from everything else, making it feel like it is really its own thing and you're getting stuff from it that you can't get from either of the others. And I think it's gone beyond that to Esther really being possibly the most interesting character here. Like, of course, Accelerator is being used for all this cool action stuff, and like last episode, Accelerator in top form with the taking down bad guys stuff. But Esther has really carried the plot line that's been going on this season. And I really, really like it because she is really, really well written and everything's been very consistent with her character and it's really good. And of course, I think Kwoto is adorable and I love her as well. So yeah, everything with them is just super well written. I thought with this episode, compared to last episode's production quality was really stepped up. This episode, at least for the first half, the animation was good, and like I'm gonna say that the animation was cheaper because I don't have a better word for it, but that's not a knock on it at all. It still looked great, it was still very good. What I mean though is, like, once you've watched a ton of anime, especially like what I'm doing, watching it to review it and stuff, you start to notice different sort of techniques and things they do to make things easier or cheaper. And during the first part of this episode, it wasn't as crazy all out as last episode, but it was still very good. And I think a part of what still made it very good is there were a lot of small details in there that were done really well, like different parts of different people's facial expressions moving while they talked, or just slight differences whenever we would cut back to different shots instead of just cutting back to the same shot during a discussion type scene. So yeah, they did things to make the animation a little bit cheaper since they were really going all out last episode, but it still looked really good. This isn't a knock on it at all. And then towards the second half of the episode, they really kicked it up, and it was pretty much again like last episode where they were really, really going in with the production quality, and it was really nice. So again, yeah, the first half you could tell they were doing some things to save some costs, but it still looked really good. Then when you get to the second half was just really good, period. Um, Now I think the fights and the little robot enemy guys, the coffins, I think that they were all really, really cool. I liked all of them, and I think that there was some great comedy there for sure too. So really, again, this episode is one that I'm pretty much praising it on every front. I thought it was very, very good. So those were just my general notes after watching the first time. So now let's talk about the episode itself, scene by scene, with the notes I took when watching through the second time. So starting off, we get to learn actually about what Hishigata's actual goal in all of this is, because I mean, it's sort of a situation where a lot of times you don't really think about it, but you're like, oh yeah, what is his end goal in all this? But at least his, not really end goal, but his current goal, the reason he wants the Misaka Imoto anyway, is because he wants the memories of the 10,031 deaths. So yeah, we actually get to learn that. That's important to the plot. We get the opening, and there's a slight change to it. The only change I think was that they took Scavenger out and they added in their place the three coffins. Then Esther, we learned that she can check on people's life forces because she checks on Yomikawa's and 10046, is that her? She checks on theirs and on Scavengers to say that they're still alive and all. She can't actually heal them though, she can just check on their life forces. Everything with Esther here was funny, though. Her wanting Accelerator to be her master. I love the scene where she was talking about borrowing Accelerator's clothes and she was all happy about it to give to Hoto. So all of that was cute, all that was funny, and like the details of like her giving the red thing to Accelerator, all those details are completely unnecessary, but adding them in adds depth that you just get from adding in those unnecessary things. It is something that they didn't need to do, but doing it adds depth to what's going on, even if it doesn't have any necessary meaning to the actual plot itself. So from there, Yomikawa and 10046 wake up, and Hirumi attacks them all using 3 coffins. Now the names for the coffins are confusing, so I'm not even going to try to really learn them, because they say the names in Japanese. Okay, well for some reason with the subs, they're translated in Chinese, so I'm like completely lost. I'm like, if they would just, because I don't know how to pronounce them or anything, I'm like, if they would just stick with the Japanese that they're using, then I would like at least know the pronunciation because I could hear the character saying it. Or if they translated it to English, of course. But I don't get why in English sub, when they're not using a Chinese name, they're translating the names to Chinese rather than just leaving them in Japanese. So yeah, it's very, very odd. I don't understand the translation for the names. So the first one we see, it has an ability that is Replace. It can basically teleport, well, not really. Yeah, it can teleport things by switching the places of 2 things. So that's actually quite similar. Well, it's not exactly the same, of course, but it's pretty similar to, what's her name? Is it Ujikawa? I don't remember. No, it's Musujima Awaki. That's it. It's pretty similar to Musujima's power. Pretty similar to that power. But I'm pretty sure hers is that she can just move the point in space of something that she is looking at. So that's a bit different than switching 2 things points in space. But yeah, either way, it has the ability Replace, and my favorite use of it that I thought was a really, really cool shot is where it shoots one of its missiles, but instead of just aiming the missile at Accelerator or anything, it just shoots out the missile and teleports the missile to switch it with the second coffin to get the second coffin in there. I thought that was a really cool shot and a really interesting use of the ability. But the second one is the one that we've already seen before a few episodes ago. I think it may have been episode 2 actually when we saw it. The one that uses psychokinesis. So then once the third one shows up, the 3 of them take 10046 and start running away. Now Accelerator gives chase, and we stick around for a scene with Esther that I thought was really good, where she explains Hasami's situation to Yomikawa. And of course Yomikawa had a pretty reasonable and cool reaction to it, where she's like, oh yeah, what you're saying to me makes totally no sense, but I can see that it's true, so even though it doesn't make sense, it's apparently true. Guess I'm gonna have to go with it. Which is just, I guess, the logical response you have in this world, you know? Now something I gotta say about the Hirumi and Hishigata scenes that I've thought ever since, like, I think it was even since episode 1 I've thought this. The scenes with the 2 of them together are kind of cringy and awkward, but I'm not going to say that that's a negative thing, because I think that it could totally be on purpose to make you not like them more. Because, I mean, that's pretty common for, I think, a lot of people who tell stories. You gotta do something. Sometimes you make an annoying character because you want people to not like them, especially if it's a villain or something. Sometimes you make them weak, you make them annoying, you make them cowardly because you're not supposed to like them. So I think kind of the cringy, awkward stuff with Hishigata and Hirumi, I'm not going to say it's a negative, because it could be on purpose because they're writing them to be the villains. We're not supposed to like them. So maybe we're supposed to think the stuff with them is cringy and awkward to make us not like them more. But eventually, Accelerator catches up to the 3 of them, and during this second encounter, we get the information that the 3 of those coffins aren't level 4 class like the one before, they're level 5 class. And this is around where the animation really, really steps up for the episode for this second half, this second encounter onward. So Hishigata's plan using the psychokinesis is that with psychokinesis there's no physical thing there for him to manipulate the vectors for. So theoretically Accelerator would have trouble with that. Now what Accelerator says, of course, is that his power is really sort of, what's the word I'm looking for here? It's really sort of convenient and useful in a lot of multiple different ways. So even if there isn't a physical thing there for him to change the vector for, even if psychokinesis is something he could struggle with a bit, even if he struggles with it, he can still find a way to beat it, because somewhere in there, there's bound to be a vector he can exploit. So again, really, really cool. It's something that's tough for him, but he can still handle it. Which makes it seem like there is some actual trouble, but it still lets him be cool and badass and get the win. So from there we learn of the power of the third one. Its power is Stealth Hide. It can dull the senses of people around it, and when used when being chased, it basically makes it go into stealth mode because it's dulling the senses. So I like that, again, we have stealth mode, but we have an explanation for the stealth mode and all that. And again, like Accelerator said, his power is convenient, so he doesn't really need to worry about that, because there are obviously going to be vectors that he can sense, like wind movement or anything like that, as it goes through the air. So from there, we have Hasami with her clothes on, or Huoto, whichever you want to call her, and she is so cute, so adorable. I love it. But her and Esther go off as well. And I love the music, the OST, as Esther's giving her little promise to Hasami, like, okay, I needed to use your body, I needed to have a corpse to help me take down Harumi and Hishigata, but you're the last person I'll ever use my powers on. This is the last necromancy I'll ever do. So I love this. It was a really good moment for Esther's character, and the music behind it was really, really good. So from there, yeah, we get the scene with Accelerator catching up, saying he doesn't need his senses to be able to find it. And the last scene we have is actually really incredible. The scene with Esther, like, digging the knife into the ground for whatever reason, was just directed really, really well. I love the, like, pollen or bits of flower or whatever it was falling from the tree during the scene. All of it looked really great. And again, it was another big scene for Esther's character. This was a very character development heavy episode for Esther. So yeah, it felt like as an episode, as a whole, that so much happened, and yet we didn't really progress that far. When you think about it, the robots came in, grabbed the Misaki Imoto, ran away, Accelerator chased after him, then Esther chased after them. You could recap it in just that short a sentence, and yet each scene, whether it was the Misaki Imoto being taken, Accelerator giving chase, Esther giving chase, there was so much detail and nuance packed into each of those points, into each of the scenes we got to see, that it felt like just an absolute ton happened in such a little amount of progress. Like, I hate to say a little amount of progress, but it's hard to explain what I mean. Like, in such a short span from point A to point B, so many things happened, which is really, really, really cool. And like I said before, it was really good in every way. I just really enjoyed the episode as a whole. And as a score, I would give it 8.5 artificial souls out of 10. I really, really, really did enjoy it. So yeah, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching it. Like if you did like the video, and comment down there to tell me what you thought of this episode and what you thought of my thoughts and my thoughts on it and all that. Subscribe for more. Tawadu, Kagaku, No Accelerator, and much more. I always want to say Majutsu, and much more on the channel. Follow on Twitter if you want. I can try to keep you updated there and stuff for the channel, or talk to you there. If you want a link to our Discord server to talk to me or more of us on Discord, it's free and open for anyone. Just ask and I can give you a link. And if you would like to help support the channel and keep it going on Patreon, then the link to the Patreon will be in the description, and patrons every 3 months will get to vote on a new series for the channel on Sundays. The first one that just got voted in that I will be starting tomorrow is Assassination Classroom, so hopefully you're excited for that. So yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.